some country wants to weaponize the dollar or weaponize the SWIFT system. If they keep doing that, they will push BRICS to eventually come up with a BRICS currency or BRICS settlement system. AI is not American intelligence, and no country should be allowed to build up AI dominance. China does not have any skeleton in our closet in dealing with Africa.
How does China see its role in relation to the BRICS and the Global South in that regard, in terms of helping Africa to green industrialize? The development paradigms of the 20th century no longer hold. So, where is China on this?
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. It's my great honor to be back in Doha for the Doha Forum. BRICS is a reality now, and BRICS is taking on more and more substance in addition to whatever it accumulated for more than 2 decades. And I think BRICS eventually will be a very powerful platform, expressing voices of all the BRICS member states as well as the partner nations. And now we have 11 full members, 10 partners, and I understand there are about 2,000 countries applying to join BRICS. So in the coming few years, you will see BRICS to gain more and more strength. That's number one. Number two is that I express huge interest in the fact that within the BRICS memberships, as well as the partners, there are so many important energy-producing countries, as well as energy importing countries. So my personal hope is that eventually within the BRICS framework, there will be collaborations between the energy producing countries, exporting countries, as well as the importing and using countries. And that will be a very solid stabilizing force for the real vitality of the BRICS. Now, the second thing is that BRICS is run completely on a consensus basis. Any member, without agreeing to it, can veto any of the proposals. That explains why sometimes the decision-making process within BRICS may be slow and may not be living up to the expectation of many countries. But exactly that is also the strength of BRICS. So I think going forward, you will see BRICS playing a more important role. The second area of great interest to me is that there are members within the BRICS which keep talking about, introducing a BRICS currency, for example, or BRICS settlement system. China is not very eager to push this because my personal view is that I have no problem with the dollar or with the SWIFT system. The problem I have is that some country wants to weaponize the dollar or weaponize the SWIFT system. If they keep doing that, they will push BRICS to eventually come up with a BRICS currency or BRICS settlement system. Now, the other area, Elizabeth, I'm personally very much interested is in this AI transformation. I think AI is with us, and I coined the term called AI divide. Don't be caught up on the wrong side of the AI divide. And I think the American way of building up AI seems to pretend that AI is American intelligence. Let me tell you, no, AI is not American intelligence, and no country should be allowed to build up AI dominance, because if any country achieves AI dominance, it will be a huge violation of the sovereignty of so many other countries, especially if you are on the wrong side of the AI. And further, I believe AI should be open sourced rather than closed sourced. Now, in this connection, Elizabeth, you actually asked the right question. You know, China's power generation is about 3 times as big as the United States. But China is on the pathway to double its power generation. Part of the reason is that China is expecting that in the real AI age, demand for power will be tremendous. So every country, if you want to play a role in AI, you need to be fully prepared to increase as much as you can your power generation. But purely relying on fossil fuel will be a disaster for climate change, for the protection of the environment. So let me tell you, while China is the biggest producer of power now, and the leading country in terms of solar, wind, and all other renewable sources of energy, China now is putting bets on 2 things. One is what we call the molten salt-based thorium reactor, which can generate huge amount of power, but without any possibility of explosion. So that takes away all the risks of nuclear reaction and making the thorium-based reactor very safe. China is already producing power on an experimental basis in the western part of China. And eventually, if China really feels very comfortable, I hope more and more countries will cooperate with China on the thorium-based reactor going forward. Now, the other thing is that China now is leading the world in the fusion reaction. Now, China is way ahead of the United States or Germany, which try to do the similar things. And if China really achieves the real breakthrough in a matter of the coming 3 to 5 years, then I hope the demand for energy for the future generations of mankind can be very much be well managed. And that will be probably the biggest contribution China can make for the sustainable development of the world. So China wants to double its capacity of power generation by using more and more technological breakthroughs. And once these breakthroughs are fully substantiated, it will be benefits for mankind as a whole. So I think China is doing the right thing. China wants to develop AI in an open source manner so that all countries can benefit and we can all cooperate together. And I'm personally very much skeptical of the American way of building AI because they want to suck in as much money from everywhere in the world, including in this part of the world, and they want to build up AI to achieve American AI dominance, which will be a huge threat to all the 200 countries or so in the world of today, and how to protect sovereignty in the world of today, how to make sure that no country will attack you, and how to make sure that no one will push you to the wrong side of the AI divide will be the critical thing that all the countries in the world and mankind as a whole need to think about. Let's talk about this part of the world. In addition to oil and gas, do you know which other source of energy they are enjoying the abundance in? Solar, very obviously. So my advice to all countries in this part of the world is that pool all your resources and develop solar energy as much as you can so that you do not need to use that much of crude oil or natural gas to generate electricity. But do you know there is a huge kind of negative competition by the Americans, by the Europeans. They accuse China of producing solar equipment and solar panels. Why should we fail in cooperation between the Chinese and the Americans and the Europeans to make sure that people and the countries in the Middle East can really put their very extraordinary solar resources to the best use so that they can really achieve sustainability of development without having to use their own resources like crude oil and natural gas. So that's one of the possibilities. Now the other thing for Africa, allow me to mention one thing. I listened very carefully this morning to some of the remarks made. I listened very carefully. But allow me to mention one point. Before China's full engagement with Africa, Africa was more or less a forgotten continent. Part of the reason was very obvious. Many European countries and the United States had huge skeletons in their closet in dealing with the Africans. Hundreds of years of colonial rule, slavery in the United States, for example, and even for our distinguished excellency and the country she comes from, Liberia. Liberia was founded by the deported slaves from the United States after the American government realized that they no longer needed that many slaves working in the cotton fields and other fields. So they do not want to keep the African slaves as people in the United States. They deported them. They deported them to Liberia. That's the origin of Liberia. So I hope you will all understand China does not have any skeleton in our closet in dealing with Africa. We deal with everyone in Africa as brothers and sisters. And If you ask which country built a road or highways or airports or government buildings in Africa, none of the European countries have done. Americans have never done that. It's China. I'm not fabricating this. I'm really telling you the real hard truth, that China has been fully engaged with Africa. Going forward, China wants to make sure that every of the 54 countries in Africa, for 1.4 billion, if not 1.5 billion Africans, and going forward by the end of this century, you are expecting doubling of the African population. They will all be fully engaged in the AI revolution. Using the American way of AI? No. You do not have the money. You do not have the talents to do that.
Victor, can I ask you to
summing
up?
Yeah, I will sum up. You need to really do this in an open source manner to fully engage in this AI revolution. Thank you very much, Sarah.
Thanks, Victor. What I'm going to do, I know the time is up, it's 19 seconds.